Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Cabinet Members for Children and Families decision meeting. Welcome all. I have apologies from Councillor Smythe. Any others?
No.
Okay, can I just read out what Councillor Smythe has said for the record, etc. Dear all, exceptionally, I have to give my apologies for this meeting. I have to go and look after my sister who needs care. I have read the papers. It is encouraging to see that things are moving in the right direction and that the new approach seems to be working gradually. I note the appendix and I cannot see the figures for the PCC residential care. I wonder if we could let me know and publish in the future the average cost of care in our residential homes, taking into account a hypothetical 100% occupancy and the actual figure taking into account actual occupancy. Okay, that's related to that. There is a note on home to school transport, which is not related to this decision making, etc. on that one. So can I give you that copy for the minutes and just to pass that on, etc. Just a few notes. Obviously, if there's fire, please evacuate and assemble by the statue, Queen Victoria's statue. Otherwise, if we can proceed, my declarations. Declarations of interest. My daughter works for Motivate. My son-in-law works for the Harbour Schools. I am a governor at ARC Charter and the 2 primaries. And I think that could be it for the moment. Shall we introduce ourselves? I'm Councillor Rob Wood, the Cabinet Member for Children and Families.
I'm Alison Jeffrey, Director of Children, Families and Education for the City Council.
Maria Smith, Group Accountant, Children, Families and Education.
Angela Mann, Finance Manager for Children, Families and Education.
Anna Martin, Local Democracy Officer.
Fiona. Thank you. If we can proceed to item 1. Okay, the portfolio budget monitoring report.
The report is for noted and sets out the financial position for the Children and Families portfolio as at the end of June 2019. The table at paragraph 5.1 summarises the position for the portfolio, showing an overall projected overspend of just under £1.5 million. This now excludes early help and prevention as it has moved to the education portfolio. The overspend is in social care and safeguarding, the breakdown of which is in table 5.2, and Troubled Families is showing a break-even position as a grant will cover the expenditure incurred in this year. The main area of overspend relates to looked after children, and stronger futures will contribute to the reduction in children needing to be looked after. Whilst external residential placements are over budget by 1.4 million, we are forecasting a reduction compared to the position at 18-19, as well as a reduction in independent fostering placements. And the figures are shown in table 5.3 and previous information is in appendix 1. Another part of the looked after children budget is for placement costs and grant income for unaccompanied minors and care leavers, which is projected to be 534,000 underspent. The other pressure areas in the budgets are assessment and intervention, which is 104,000 overspent, safeguarding and monitoring, which is 295,000 overspent, and edge of care, which is 122,000 overspent. On the capital side, we have 5 schemes within the approved programme, which are detailed in section 6, one of which was approved just after the 30th of June, but has been included for completeness. The financial consequences of the delayed go-live for the care management system will be reported in the Q2 report.
Thank you for that report. And I know we went through it in detail in the pre-meeting, and it's presented very well. I do like the fact that we have a breakdown of figures from previous years, and we can do comparisons so we know where we're heading. Obviously, it's a good story, but beneath this, although we're 1.4/5 million overspent, comparative with the outturn last year where we were 7.7 million right at the end of that, and although we've pushed 4 million and had 1.3 million in, making 5.3. We are currently obviously only 1.4 over, which is around about 6.8. So currently as it stands, and I know that will be swings and roundabouts over the year, we are just under 1 million better off than we were in terms of projection than we were at the end of last year. Now, I obviously know there's still pressure going on, but what I do want to reflect is the good work being in Children's to look at these figures and to utilise better spending in certain areas. So I noticed that the IFAs compared to the in-house foster, obviously we've underspent on the IFAs, the more expensive ones, and we've overspent on the in-house foster cares, which clearly shows that we are looking to build capacity there and bring down the costs on the way. So overall, as Councillor Smythe had said, there it's all moving in the right direction. I've just got 2 people arrived. Sarah, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, Sarah Daly. I'm the new Deputy Director here in Portsmouth.
Hi, I'm Matt Atkins. I'm the Conservative Shadow Spokesman for Children and Families. So I'm late. I was teaching class till 5, so I've dashed over from the uni a bit.
Have either of you got any declarations?
No declarations, no.
Okay.
No, none from me.
Right. Where we got to is we've gone through the report, and I was summing up. And in your absence, Councillor Judith Smythe had said basically these were a good set of figures, moving in the right direction, very pleased, but she would like a bit more detail about the residential costs breakdown, similar in vein of this, so we can actually monitor the costs. Because basically, if you remember in previous meetings, we talked about breaking this down a bit more, giving a bit of trend analysis from last year and this year, so where we can see things are moving, and breaking down the cost to see where we're moving. Have you got any questions you want to ask?
Sure, yeah. Again, I was encouraged to see a number of positive trends, including, the continued success of foster caring in the city, and congratulations on keeping those numbers high and even improving on your projections there. And it also appears in places where the I might have the brief of paper, but the unaccompanied minors, is it also the case that those are somewhat down on initial projections? I was unclear from the
We have had a quieter period, and certainly we've seen some plateauing. We have also seen a small number move onto other local authorities in line with those local arrangements. Clearly, it's an unknown entity. We never know whether or not we're going to get 5 in a week. We've had a young person present this morning, so it's difficult for us to judge that on a week-by-week basis, but part of the work we will be doing with finance colleagues again is that more of that trajectory work to really look and see nationally what the picture is, and so we can really start to project a little bit more about our anticipation with those numbers.
The only thing from the report I found of slight concern is that there were 1 or 2 areas where staffing costs were in overspend. There was the regrading overspend, but there was also an overspend from increased staff numbers to deal with supervising of foster care. Is that correct? Is that something that you anticipate having a means to deal with in the future? Just the number of children coming down doesn't necessarily bring the staffing costs down. Is this a case where budgets are going to be an ongoing problem, or is there some other funding you can look for to kind of cover that overspend?
I'll seek to answer that first, and then Sarah may come in as well. One of the areas of overspend is in independent reviewing officers, and because our numbers of looked after children have gone up so much since 2017, we hadn't actually increased our capacity in that reviewing officer function, and that's just 1 additional officer. For the moment, that post will be necessary. Obviously, if we do manage to get our looked after children numbers down, which we very much hope through our strategies we will, then we will continue to review that capacity. In other areas, we've had to increase our number of personal advisors for care leavers because our care leaving population is increasing significantly, and there was a lot of pressure there. So that's an area where we've increased. We are recruiting posts to deliver the family safeguarding model. And while we haven't actually moved money from the care budget to the staffing budget to cover that, the expectation is that that investment will lead in time to fewer children in care, and therefore, it's a very sensible business proposition to invest in that upfront to reduce the number of children in care and cut the care budget. So there are aspects of accountancy to this, if you like. I don't think that we're in a position where we're able to reduce our staffing numbers significantly. In fact, caseload pressures are manageable, but they're not comfortable. And although the overall number of cases has gone down over the last couple of years, we've got more complex cases. I think we're dealing with the right children now, as it were. And Sarah's actually been looking since she arrived through all our looked after children cohort and not yet found any that shouldn't be in care. And our child protection cohort, with the number of plans, has gone down. But it's really now, I think we've got the staff in the right place, doing the right thing. We need to really keep going with that whole family approach to child protection to really keep more families together and not have so many children coming into care. And that's the key financial driver that we need to keep working on.
And okay, one thing I think certainly for myself is the word there, we're doing the right thing, which is part of what we know is the rise in children and, if you like, the worry about whether we can cope with that. I'm trying to make sure that the service has the ability to take that out so that they're doing the right thing earlier on, because clearly the key thing that we all know is the fewer people into the system, into the pipeline, the better it is, and also how you deal with them in the pipeline means you don't have any revolving door or more expensive ways of maybe caring for the children. So I've been listening very carefully where we should spend the money, and because one of the things that we've managed to do is between us as Portsmouth, we've pushed, as you know, for the unaccompanied minor money, and we got it. Yeah. And in fact, that area, while we're plateau, we're actually in a surplus. So that's one area where although I say we're in a surplus, obviously there's this hidden cost to do with the structure. I know you're about it.
Before we get carried away, I think that there is an accounting issue here, really, that the whole of the government's grant is put against the care costs alone for the unaccompanied asylum seekers, whereas actually we've got a larger staff group than we would otherwise have. And if we distributed that grant across the full range of costs in an accountancy sense, I don't think we would find ourselves underspent. But it is the government's uplift on the UAM allocation is nevertheless extremely welcome. We were reckoning that we were spending $1 million over what we were getting, and now it looks as if it's $500,000 under. It isn't really. It's probably just about covering our costs, and we're waiting for the announcement about the care leavers grant allocation for unaccompanied asylum seekers, because the government's been very silent on that for a long time. So we're hoping that again will be really helpful to us.
Thank you for that. And so you can see we're pushing on all fronts to make sure we get the correct funding for what we need. We're being efficient, and we're shifting the cost of each of those. So it is a good news story overall, but we're right to just make the point about keeping an eye on staffing costs. Any other questions? No?
No, that's...
Okay.
Overall doing a very good job, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I say well done also. All right, thank you very much. So if I go through with the recommendations, the recommendation is that I note the Children and Families Portfolio forecast budget position as at the end of June 2019 of 1.5 million in excess of the current approved cash limit provision. I note the continuing implementation of the Stronger Futures strategic programme designed to reduce the number of looked after children in the city, the key driver of the overspend in this portfolio. And I note the position in respect of the approved capital schemes for the portfolio. So thank you very much. And I think that brings us swiftly to the end. Okay? Thank you, everyone. Thank you.